One of the strangest things that can happen to a successful man is this. The moment he achieves what he worked for, he loses the motivation that got him there. Well, welcome back to the Warrior Mind podcast. This is Greg Swanson, and we're going to be talking about why successful men or people in general suddenly lose motivation. I mean, have you ever experienced that where you have a goal and you're committed to it and it's great and you hit it and you have success and then you go, now what? And then you kind of lose momentum and you sit around for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 4 months, whatever it may be, until something else motivates you to get going. Well, today we're going to be talking about that phenomenon and how to neutralize it. So, why successful men suddenly lose motivation? This is a very interesting fact because if you're successful, that must mean that you have some sort of inspiration or motivation. Motivation, external inspiration is internal. But then when we say successful, so we sometimes think that people are achieving success constantly. But that may not be the case where it's sporadic, but the cumulative effect is success. But we still need to know is how can we put ourselves in a position where we can tap into our inspiration and motivation to achieve success. So what happens is success really should increase motivation, right? We got what we want. We're doing what we said we're going to do, and we should be waking up with enthusiasm and excitement. But many men experience the opposite, and people do too. And so I'm using men in here because that's what I am. But this applies equally for all genders. But so a lot of folks will experience the opposite. They'll get to it and going, now what? Or is that all there is? So the big question is, why does motivation disappear? Where does it go to? Where did it come from? So most people assume success should increase motivation. I mean, I was one of them, and you probably are as well. But many high performers experience a surprising loss of motivation after achieving major goals. I mean, you look at Super Bowls, you look at World Series, from the sporting world, you look at Academy Awards from the acting world, you look at sales, busting out your quota by 100, 200, 300%, or whatever it is, climbing a tough mountain. And then all of a sudden, this energy that we had to achieve these goals just kind of vanishes, it disappears. So here's the strange moment after success, right? You have career progress, you have financial growth, you have discipline remains strong, yet motivation fails. So, in your career, you're climbing up the corporate ladder as you plan to, things are happening, financial growth, you're putting aside money for 401ks or investments or real estate or whatever that is. And your discipline remains strong. You go to the gym every morning, you do what you say you're going to do, yet this motivation, this inspiration just fades. And that's a very strange moment because it should be the opposite. Yeah, we got it. Let's go after something else. But a lot of times it's like we unplug ourselves after we hit this big goal. We put so much energy and attention into a specific goal that when we achieve it, we have nothing left to do. We don't know what else to do. And so there's a moment where everything externally looks successful. Man, I got it going. But internally, the drive starts to weaken. And this is why we can have this roller coaster ride of success and quote failure. It's not really failure, but it's the opposite. So we have this motivation, we have this inspiration, we take action, we achieve our goal. And then we kind of sit back and go, oh, I don't know what I do next. And this isn't too exciting. And then we stop taking action and then we stop getting results. And then all of a sudden we go, oh, I got to get going again. Now, if you've been watching or listening to the podcast for any length of time, what I kind of described as your complacent zone, right? We have a mental line of support and a mental line of resistance, and we go up and down, up and down, up and down. And part of the reason that happens is because this lack of momentum, lack of energy after we achieve success. So, what loss of motivation feels like? I think we all know what it feels like. We could feel numb, we could feel lethargic, we could feel complacent, we could feel apathetic. But work feels mechanical. It's just like we're grinding. We're just grinding, grinding, grinding every day without any goal in mind, without anything. It's just another day in the salt mines, right? And then progress feels routine. Yeah, I'm making a little bit of progress here and there. I'm going to the gym. I'm lifting 1 pound extra every week, or progress is happening somewhere. But it just feels like that's what's supposed to happen. It's just like I don't have to put any effort. I can mail it in and still make progress. Energy feels different. And actually, when we have this enthusiasm, it's a high frequency, if you will. It's high potential, high energy. But then when we start to coast, it's nothing. And we have the energy because we're doing the tasks, but we're doing it with just a lower energy than we would if we had the motivation. And nothing appears wrong, right? We're putting in the work we're supposed to. We're going to the gym. We're doing our stuff at work. We're calling our clients. We're doing everything seems to be going well, but it's just that motivation behind it. It's we don't really need like a couple of Red Bulls or so or coffee to get that back again. But then that in itself is temporary. So there's an emotional and psychological experience of losing motivation, even though life appears stable. And we look around and see our life. Okay, it's great. My bank account is growing. My relationship is deepening. Work is going great. But we just have this loss. It's like this emptiness, and we go through it, and people tell us, "Oh man, you're doing so great. You got the perfect marriage, the perfect job. Look at you. You're fit. You're healthy. The bank account." And we go, "Yeah, okay, thanks." So early motivation is driven by pressure. So let's look at motivation where it starts and then potentially where it stops, right? We want to prove something. So the pressure is, why do we take action? So it can be that we want to prove something. Escaping just mediocrity. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? Financial security. We're doing some major things because we want to be financially secure next year, the year ahead, and maybe even into retirement. And we like to build a reputation, specifically in business. We want to have a positive reputation that we're the person that can be caught on. So all of these things create pressure, right? And early ambition often fueled by pressure and urgency. This pressure creates enormous momentum. So you look at all these: proving something, escaping mediocrity, security, building reputation. All of it is like a pressure that is forcing us to take action to make sure we check these off. Am I proving something? Yep. Am I escaping mediocrity? Yep. Financial security? Yep. Building reputation? Yep. And that's the pressure. And then when we start to check that off, things can start to happen. So when this is what happens when the goal is achieved, right? The target is reached. Yay, we got it. We got to the top of the mountain. We got the money we wanted, whatever that is, right? The pressure disappears because we don't have to prove anything. We don't have to accomplish anything. We have the financial, all of it's done. The target's reached. Pressure disappears like, I arrived. And it's good when we hit goals. Don't get me wrong. We want to hit goals and we want to enjoy them. But what happens is then the pressure disappears. There's nothing there internally creating that intention, right? Intention, tension inside. And then our habits remain. We go back to some other old habits. Motivation changes. If you want to call it, it's still motivation or inspiration, but it diminishes. It's just not there. It's like, yeah, I want to do something else, but I'm okay where I am right now. Motivation begins to evolve, less intensity, when the psychological shift and the original goal that fueled discipline is achieved. So we have this, right? We dig down into our mental strength. We put in the actions. We do what we want. We give it all we got. We hit this goal. And then what? And then we like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I've given this all I got. I'm going to take a break, which is fine. But we just need to be aware that when we take that break, there's no pressure. The internal pressure starts to subside. And then we just go through the motions. And then one day, 1 week, 1 month, we just don't have that excitement. We don't have that lust for life or lust for our goals anymore. And this is what happens when we hit it. So the achievement plateau again, early growth is exciting, right? We start to do something, we start a new hobby, or we start a new skill set, or we start a new workout plan, or start a new sales thing. It's exciting growth. We're feeling good. We know we're growing. Progress eventually stabilizes, right? It levels off. It goes for a steep curve and then it starts to level off. And challenges become routine. Matter of fact, they're not even a challenge anymore because they're just part of the day-to-day activities. And it doesn't push us. It doesn't help us grow. And the mindset seeks a new target. We want a new target. And what's interesting is, just on a side note within NLP, and this can apply to this when we look at setting, we want to achieve another goal when we are at 80 to 90% of our original goal. So when we're close to that goal, we want to set a new goal, and that can help offset this achievement plateau, right? This plateau stage, and often it feels like a loss of motivation because we have it, we achieve it, we put all our effort into it, we hit it, and then now what, right? So again, it's this kind of a letdown that that's all there is, and we go, yeah, we accomplished it, but then we just keep coasting. So what we want to do is success without fulfillment. This is what really it comes down to. External success remains, right? It's we've achieved our financial, we achieved our sales, we achieved our lifting goals, or ran the marathon, whatever that might be. But internal connection fades. It's just, why did I do this? What does this mean? Is this really that important? This happened to me really a lot in my towards the end of my sales career. I'd be hitting my quota, exceeding. I'm going, for what? For what purpose? It was nice to have the money. It was nice to pay off bills, but the enthusiasm behind what I was doing greatly diminished. And effort and meaning are separate, right? We have effort, we're putting the effort, but the meaning behind it, why am I doing this, are separated. We just go through the habit of doing what we're supposed to do, but without meaning. And without meaning, it's an empty action. So motivation then weakens, inspiration weakens, and then we start to coast without any enthusiasm behind it. So this is why misalignment between effort and purpose contributes to motivation loss. Now we're getting into the real crux of this, is purpose. Why am I doing this? And it has to be something different than just to pay bills, right? So we'll talk about that next stage of motivation, right? It's less pressure, it's more alignment, purpose-driven effort, meaningful challenges. So when we have this more alignment, this is how motivation evolves, right? When people move from achievement-driven goals to purpose-driven direction. And when we do that, for example, getting back to my sales career, when I was losing this enthusiasm, I thought, why am I doing this? And I was in the telecom space at that point. And after sitting with it for a long weekend, I came up with the purpose, and that is the the equipment that I sold allowed a grandmother in New York to talk to her granddaughter in California. So the purpose of me selling this equipment was to bring families together. When I reframed that, then I had new enthusiasm. But before then, it was just selling a box of equipment. But when we have this purpose, there's low pressure. We are purpose driven, so there's less pressure, but there's more energy, there's more alignment. We know why we're doing this. And we get these meaningful challenges. The challenges that we face, then we have meaning behind them because we're doing our work with a purposeful intent. So this is a different type of drive, right? This is not frantic energy running all over the place trying to hit a goal in a smart fashion where the time is ticking away and we have clear direction. We know exactly why, because we're aligned with our purpose and our values and the intentional effort. So it's not just unconscious effort. We are making intention to do what we want to do so we can hit our goal. And it's purpose-centered motivation. And again, what's really, really important here is that it's a purpose. We understand why it's aligned. And many people struggled, as I did, looking for your purpose. And this is where a coach can come in very handy, such as myself, to help you find purpose in what you're doing. So you can have a life purpose, but you can also have a purpose in your career or vocation. And when you can find that purpose in your career, at least you're halfway there, or prospectively halfway there, because you are doing things with energy and motivation. So this new form of motivation shows up as clarity rather than urgency, meaning we know the path we're on, we're working the path, we know why we're doing it, and we just do what we need to do at that time. When we don't have a clear purpose and path, it's kind of like, let's throw a bunch of mud against the wall and see what sticks. But with a purpose, it's a laser focused attention. So when we talk about this falls really squarely in the conscious warrior code, right? We're talking about physical strength, mental clarity, emotional mastery, and purpose alignment. If this information struck a nerve, this podcast, and I invite you to explore the Conscious Warrior Code, because in that code, which you can download with the link below, you can find out how you can leverage and align your physical, mental, emotional, and purpose driven to create a different type of motivation, to create a inspiration, right? So inspiration is internal and our purpose is internal. So when we can combine the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and purpose alignment, that is a different type of energy to go and achieve your goals. And this is all in the Conscious Warrior Code. So purpose over motivation. We want to find that. Experiencing a loss of motivation after success, it's not a failure. It's just, it happens to us. It is often a signal that the next stage of life requires a different orientation towards discipline and purpose. The goal that once created momentum may no longer be the goals that create meaning. So you can look at anything, your career, your lifting goals, climbing mountains, hiking, those things, just because we want to get them accomplished off our checklist, may not have meaning anymore. And so we find other ways to work through our life and walk through life, right? Recognizing this shift allows high performers to move into the next phase of growth with intention. So that is when we achieve our goals, we go, oh, I'm feeling this lack of energy. Let me go deep into my purpose for doing these things, and then I can get this inspiration within me. If you want to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find more useful information in the form of other podcasts as well as blog posts. And while you're there, you can book your power strategy call to perhaps dive into purpose, meaning, inspiration, and motivation. But since you'll be on the internet, please follow me at LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all under Warrior Mind Coach.